So, we'd always talked about Brad Holmes going into the season before we saw anything from this draft class. We talked about the ultimate confidence we had in him, identifying talent, bringing in talent, right? Regardless of the round. So, you and I have conversations before the draft. I'm sure you all remember. We had these very same conversations. Should the Detroit Lions draft Kyle Hamilton number 2 overall? Okay. I mean, whatever makes you guys happy. We can talk about these things, no problem. We did. Called you guys idiots. Told you to suck my dick. We went through a whole thing, all right? We got over it, though. We're all friends now. No problem. Moving on. You look at his splits and him being Kyle Hamilton, and you compare them to Kirby Joseph. You tell me who would look like a first-round pick more. Because he's got almost as many tackles, more interceptions, more forced fumbles. Across the board.
Right.
He's outperforming a guy who was picked, 12th, I believe? 11th or 12th?
Yeah, he was drafted 14th.
14th, thank you.
Yeah.
And this was a guy that many of you wanted number 2 overall. And thank goodness you didn't, because the guy that you ended up taking number 2 overall, if you put his side by side with Aaron Donald's rookie season, Aiden Hutchinson, 17 games, Aaron Donald, 16. Hutchinson, 9.5 sacks, Aaron Donald, 9. Aiden Hutchinson, 52 tackles, Donald, 48, 15 quarterback hits for Hutch, 13 for Donald. 2 fumble recoveries for Aiden, 0 for Donald. So not only did you draft an edge rusher, like we had told you from the beginning, day one, draft an edge rusher. It's one of the most important positions in football. Mm-hmm. You followed up by drafting a safety who gave you insane production as a 3rd-round pick. More so than the guy who was drafted in the 1st round that I was told is the next Ed Reed. It's just what I was told.
Yeah.
Now, how relevant it is, it's up to you guys. You decide what goes on in the show. But the fact that Brad Holmes has delivered Kirby Joseph, Aiden Hutchinson, he mentioned it a little bit. James Houston, you don't expect that 8 sacks in that short amount of time. It's uncommon. You knew he had the potential. You knew he had the traits. But you don't expect 8 sacks. But still, it's there. You look at Kirby, it's exactly what they thought he would be, a ball-hawking safety. And that was his grade. That was his, that was who he was coming out of college. He had the number 1 PFF grade in coverage among all safeties. Yes, including Kyle Hamilton. Kirby Joseph did. And you stole him in the 3rd round? Oh, should I add Malcolm Rodriguez? Should I add all these players that this guy has managed to pull draft class after draft class?
Yeah.
This is insane.
And remember, the biggest argument we made before the draft is look at some of the top premier safeties in the NFL and look where they were drafted at. I mean, we brought up what? Antoine Winfield, Derwin James. You could keep going. Safeties that weren't the top of the picks in the draft. And even Kirby Joseph, our 3rd-round pick, it's not surprising that he has this kind of production. Not to Brad Holmes either. They saw the skill set he had previously coming out of college. I mean, these guys it's always the guys that are wide receivers that convert to, a secondary position, like Tariq Woolen. He was a wide receiver, now he's a corner, 6 interceptions his rookie year. And then you have Kirby, who was a wide receiver, changed to a safety. Now he has 4 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. Guy's just a ball hawk. It doesn't take anything away from what Kyle Hamilton can be, but when you talk about value on where you take these players, you have Kirby Joseph, who was more productive in his rookie year, and you're paying him significantly less. And I think that's the bigger thing to take away from it. I mean, for Kyle Hamilton, they both played. Kyle Hamilton played in 16 games. Kirby played in 17, but the difference was Kyle started in only 4 of those games. So, again, the production, Kirby clearly had an opportunity when Tracy Walker went down, and he took the most of it, man. And this speaks to what we echoed all draft, which was don't take a safety that high because you can get similar value later in the draft, and it was proven to be true with Kirby Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top safeties in the NFL right now, And I would say, if I were to guess before I even look at this list, I would say 3 at most were drafted in the first round. Okay? So let's go on and look. Top 10 safeties going into this season. Derwin James. First round pick. Can you confirm these as we go?
I got you.
Derwin James. I think he's one of, if not the best safety in the NFL. You can put him wherever you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he was
First round pick,
He was
correct?
taken 17th.
17th overall. I know
Yeah.
Mika Fitzpatrick was taken in the first round. No problem. But this is when the list gets fun. Kevin Byard. I want to say off the top of my head, 4th or 3rd round pick. Could be wrong.
Kevin Byard was a 3rd round pick,
Okay.
similar to Kirby. Actually, he was the 64th. I think Kirby was around that number as well.
Jordan Poyer. What do you think of him as a safety with the Buffalo Bills? Don't look it up. I already know it.
Okay, he's damn good
He's
safety.
one of my favorite ones.
I think he's
7th round pick.
Jesus.
Justin Simmons. I want to say Justin Simmons was a first round pick in Denver. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was.
He was taken in the 3rd round.
3rd round.
98
Wow.
overall.
Buda Baker, I know, went in the 4th round. I know Micah Hyde. Antoine Winfield was a first round pick.
Yep, Buda was a 2nd round pick. So still.
Jesse
same.
Bates.
Yep, Jesse Bates was a 2nd round pick as well.
All right. Javon Holland, Miami.
He was a 2nd round pick.
There
They
you
just
go.
keep
There's
coming.
Your list. There's your list.
So out of all the people you just named, 2
Minka
premier,
Fitzpatrick,
yeah, Minka and Derwin
Antoine
James.
Winfield and Derwin James.
Yeah.
3 of the 10 safeties we named, who are the top 10 safeties in the NFL, were taken in the first round. That's not a bad thing, right? I would love to have a Derwin James. Would love to have a Minka
And
Fitzpatrick.
Antoine Winfield was the 45th overall. He was 2nd round.
No shit.
Yeah.
I thought Winfield was a first round pick.
Yeah, Antoine Winfield Jr. Yep, he was
Wow.
taken 45th overall.
Well,
so
there
it's
you
just
go.
Derwin and Micah.
There you go.
Minka
Those are your
Fitzpatrick.
examples. And you wanted to take them number 2 overall. Remember that, all of you. Every single one of you. When we go into this offseason, remember this. But this is why there's so much confidence in Brad Holmes. Because you know what you're going to get. And you know it doesn't matter the round, doesn't matter the pick. For the first time in, I would say, my lifetime, the conversation in Detroit is not so much about where you're picking. Because that's what it was always about. We should lose this game because then you could pick here and you could pick there and you have this and you don't. I don't think you really care with this guy in charge.
No,
I don't think it matters.
The Colts took Nick Cross a couple picks ahead of Kirby.
Yes.
You still got your guy. So to your point, that pick would have been a little higher if they lost. It didn't happen that way.
I love it, man. I love it. I love the job Brad Holmes has done so far. You look at the draft picks. We might look at this draft class as one of his better ones, you could say, in Lions history. Look at the 2022 class. You have a premier edge rusher, a ball-hawking safety. I would say an up-and-coming linebacker. I don't know his ceiling, Malcolm Rodriguez. I don't know what his ceiling is. Is it very high? Is it low? I don't know. But he was good his rookie year. He was very good. Okay, moving on. Josh Pascal, James Houston. These guys were just okay. What the hell? Jumping off the screen. Flashes. No problem. Oh, did I forget to mention there was a first-round pick who will tear the NFL apart once he gets his chemistry down with his quarterback, once he's involved in the offense more, and that's Jamison Williams. You've seen it in bursts. He had a touchdown called back against the Packers. That draft class could be special. And you know what's funny, Jeff? Out of everything Brad Holmes has done, year 1 with Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the undrafted free agents, Jerry Jacobs,
Aleem McNeil.
Brock Wright, Aleem McNeil, all that was great, right? All right, follow it up next year. Aiden, all these guys, cool. He's got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a third-round pick to work with this draft. And whether he wants to trade back, acquire more capital for the future, who knows? We have all offseason to talk about this. But the point this morning is your GM is the definition of an OG. Knows what he's doing, has a good staff around him, has good people around him. And so far they've made a lot of really, really good decisions. And this is why in the NFL you can turn it around so quickly, because it takes one off season of 3, 4, 5 good decisions, and you're a much better football team. and with the right head coach and the right front office in place, the rest opens up. What do I always tell you? You need to win a Super Bowl. What do I always tell you? You need to, I would say, dominate or compete in the field for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
What are the 3 things you need, Jeff? Head coach, GM, quarterback. You got the GM. I don't think anybody doubts that. You have the GM. Quarterback? I don't have a problem with Jared Goff. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. Is he the problem right now?
No, he's not.
Is he costing me a Super Bowl appearance? Is he costing me a division title? No.
I would say,
why the hell do I care?
I would say you do. You have the quarterback.
Head coach. To be determined. But boy, last 10 games of the season looked very good. First 7 games, very bad. Last 10 games, very good. Hopefully going into next season, you don't have a rocky start and a hot start and a horrible finish. Mm-hmm. It can't just be up or down. You got to find some consistency, some balance. He has time to evolve. We'll see how he does. But it was a good year too, considering a 1-6 start, an 8-2 finish. It's all coming together, Jeff.
Yeah, a good example of that would be the Jaguars, right? I mean, you make all the decisions they made. They spent a lot of money in free agency, and even myself, I gave them a lot of flack for that. I mean, Christian Kirk, signing him for what? And then now you're seeing it all pay off. They have all 3 things you just named: general manager, coach, quarterback. Doug Peterson's done a fantastic job. They won their division after last year having the number 1 overall pick, and that's the NFL for you. You can turn things around very quickly. That's why when you're sitting there at 1-6, it's hard to digest be patient, because you're looking around the league and you're seeing guys and teams, that are taking those leaps. But the Lions ended up doing that. The second half of the season, they were one of the better teams, one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and they're definitely trending in the right direction. I would say right now they check all 3 of those boxes. I would put Dan, I would check him right now. We'll see how he does next season, especially at the beginning. But I think all Lions fans, and even within the organization, from the top to the bottom, Sheila Ford, they're confident in what they're building. And next year, Brad's mentioned it, Dan's mentioned it, it's playoffs. That's the next step. And I like how that expectation is now set to where there's no season where you're going to aim for 6-7 wins. This is playoffs. This is minimum wild card.